Hello everyone and welcome to the teams and calendar announcement for Season 4. I'm your host LG Gaffo, and shortly we'll get into our Tier 1 and 2 teams along with the calendar for next season. Already confirmed there will be a 10 race calendar which will have a long 2-week break over Christmas and New Year's before we go back in February. It'll be a long season with only short of 2 races, just unlike last season, and we'll get underway very shortly. We have, I think, 13 viewers watching at the moment. If there's any questions, just to throw into the chat before we get underway for the team's announcement. So what's being announced first is we'll do the Tier 2 lineup. We'll work our way up from the lineups. So it'll be Mercedes and Red Bull all the way down to Haas in Tier 2, then Tier 1, and then finally we'll finish with the calendar. All penalty points and no footage warnings will be reset going into the season. I didn't want anyone serving penalties going into next season. So everyone is completely clean, and there'll be a new rules system as well going up shortly during the week. I think relatively the rules will stay the same, but a few minor tweaks and a few additions, which will all be highlighted in the rules. So when you're, if you've obviously already read them, because there are a lot of rules, there will be some highlighted in yellow. They will be the new ones that you're just going to have to take into account. The league info channel will also be updated on the amount of penalty points and no footage warnings for a quali ban. It's instead of you have a first warning for no footage, a second warning for no footage, and then the third one is your quali ban. And that's the exact same for attendance. You have a warning first for not reacting to attendance, that will be taken into account, and then if you don't react again at some other point during the season, that's a quali ban. And then for a second time during the season, that's a race ban. And then if you don't react to attendance 4 times over the course of the season, your seat will be removed, and I have every right to do that. So any other questions before we get underway? Or you could just give me a thumbs up in the chat and we'll get started. Obviously, as you can see as well in front of me, we have the RSL livery for the new season. If we ever do go to a 10v10, which we were looking to do last season, but definitely is on the cards this season, considering weekends are now free, we will be able to get going. It is a smooth livery, consisting of now our famous white and blue colours, which will be used right through the season in all the graphics that we have, and a tutorial on how to do that will be announced shortly. And as you can see in this next camera of the front of the car, you can see our badge there, that white circle with the OR badge representing the Racing Super League. But other than that, I think it's time to get underway and going with the teams. So we'll just quickly fly over to here, and here we go. We have Mercedes up first with our Tier 2 teams. So the 2 drivers representing Mercedes in Season 4 will be Big Laudy and Jatin 9 Gruenwald. Those 2 drivers, I'm pretty sure Laudy is British and obviously possibly a fan of Lewis Hamilton. I think both those drivers may be able to form some sort of partnership together, and they'll be representing Mercedes throughout the 10 races of Season 4. Next, we move on to Red Bull, and we have one notorious driver who's in Red Bull in Season 1, and he's been in CTCR/RSL for all 3 seasons, and was Parallel Silk, was Antlav, and now is RSL Silk 3, is our first driver in Red Bull, along with D Killer, another new driver in the league, and they are hoping to have a good partnership together, and we'll find out when we head into round 1 on the 23rd for these guys. Next, in Ferrari, we have Essence Acid as our first driver in Ferrari. Obviously a Ferrari fan himself, big Charles Leclerc fan, and we'll see if he can make some Charles Leclerc races and see how he finishes. He was voted, or he was a nominee for Driver of the Year in Tier 2, or Driver of the Season. Unfortunately didn't win it, but to be nominated shows that he maybe does have a bit of pace to be able to do that. Alongside him is Johannes. He raced not much last season, but he did sign up for Season 4, and he's hoping to race a bit more this season, and he will be alongside Essence Acid in that. Next, we have a British and Irish combination in McLaren, our first driver being Queasy B, or Marty as it's going to be this season. Obviously represented McLaren in Season 1, nearly got a podium in Britain. He still believes he did, but he'll hope to get maybe a podium or maybe even a first win going into Season 4. Alongside him will be Hayden. Obviously won his first race in Saudi Arabia and could be a strong contender for the title and a seat in Tier 1 in Season 5, but we'll find out as that heads on. Next, as we move to Alpine, we have JRR33 alongside Mr. Crack. So both of them reserved many times in Tier 1 towards the end of last season, and they just weren't quite at the pace, and has dropped them unfortunately down into a Tier 2 seat. We'll see what they are made of in Tier 2, and will they be racing a lot on Wednesday nights. They are the 2 in the Alpine. Next, we move to the AlphaTauri, a team that had all the bad luck last season, despite the pace of their drivers they had, and it's an all-American AlphaTauri team with Crumbly Cheese 24 and Me and God 69. Obviously Me and God finishing second in the championship last year, and is hoping for more of the same. Obviously he has the right to go up to Tier 1, and he was allowed, but from not only my own advice, but I think generally with his pace he will be swarmed up there, and more than likely Tier 1 is based on pace and not consistency, unfortunately. Crumbly Cheese on the other hand, very fast driver, but unlike his friend, he is very inconsistent, but we'll see if he can get that sorted heading into the new season. Next, we move to Aston Martin, and that is going to be consistent of B. Anders and 2 Magnus. The 2 line up in the Aston Martin seat together. Magnus, obviously in the McLaren last year, had a few good results, but was never really quite there. Most infamously had a great result in Imola in Tier 1, taking that big gamble like Pigster, staying out or going in early for the sauce, which paid off for himself, but obviously still doesn't quite have the pace to be in Tier 1 yet. He'll be in the Aston Martin alongside B. Anders, who again reserved in Tier 1 towards the end of last season. The pace just wasn't quite there for him. Next we move to Williams, and again we have another very strong lineup. We have back to Spawn Hugo. We have him, it's his first time he'll ever race in CTCR, or RSL I should say, going into the new season. He, I think, accidentally joined during a Miami qualifying in Tier 2 and set provisional pole before it was taken off by Harrison. and he is going to be in Tier 2 now, on the way, going into the first race of the season. Alongside him will be Daryl 2705, will be in the Williams alongside him. Didn't get much racing experience last season, but when he did, he seemed to be fairly quick. In the Alfa Romeo now we have a lineup of E.T. Bear and Velify. E.T. Bear showed up, I think, only one race last season in Miami, and had what was a very average race, but I think there's still time to be improved, and we'll see if he's going to be able to race enough next season in order to put up a bit of a fight himself. Alongside him, Velify, brand new to the league, raced in the last race of Tier 1 and did not have any sort of championship pace at all, so he has been dropped down to Tier 2. And finally we move on to Haas, and Haas have the lineup of Pentita 86, finished out the season in Red Bull last year, and he will line up alongside the Kingsman 42, another very fast driver, but again the inconsistency was too key for him and he never quite got together, other than winning the final race of the season in Abu Dhabi. Maybe that's just a sign for him to start going for the championship. So, my predictions going in. I personally think that the winners of the constructors will be AlphaTauri. I think the two Americans in Crumbly Cheese and Me and God are there most of the time, and I think that they can put in enough good results to be able to win the constructors. I think in second, I think will be McLaren. I think Hayden is a very, very strong driver, and he will pull some great results this year. And along with Queasy B alongside him, Queasy B can be fast at times, and we'll see what the two of them can do. In third, I'm going to go for Haas. Again, another strong lineup. Pentita had some great results towards the end of last season, and the Kingsman, if he can get his consistency together, he could be in Tier 1 in Season 5. But it's anyone's to be there for. It's anyone's to win, I should say. For the championship, the winner, I am going to go for the McLaren of Hayden. I just think he's going to be too strong, and I have a feeling that he could win the championship. In second, I'm going to go for the Williams driver of Back 2. His time trials look strong, and his general pace, as I've seen him in other leagues, looks very strong as well. For third, I am going to go for the Kingsman. I think Haas needs someone to pull themselves up, and I think that Kingsman will do enough to at least get third despite his inconsistency at times. We'll see if that can change, obviously, going into Season 4. I think definitely Crumbly Cheese and Me and God will come up some way in the top 10, and I think they will score a lot of points, and that's how I think AlphaTauri will win it, despite not having a driver in the championship battle. But that's all for Tier 2. If anyone else wants to say anything in the chat before we move on to Tier 1, otherwise we'll just get straight underway. So, as the clock hits 20 past 5, I think it's time to get underway with the teams for Tier 1. So, without further ado, it's time to get underway. In the Mercedes, obviously has been a crucial seat for everyone who's been in it across the seasons. It's going to be two brand new drivers to represent the team from Germany. It's going to be Vax on Zero Ping and TTV Vaxi GG. Two friends who joined the league at the same time. Obviously both Mercedes seats were free while I was making them at that time, and I decided just to put both of them into it. Hopefully the chemistry is strong between the two of them, and we'll see what they can pull off together. Their time trials look strong, so we don't know until maybe some of the test sessions on whether they could be there to compete. As we head then to Red Bull, we have obviously Jackie Gabbana, who won the Tier 2 championship in Red Bull, gets to stick with the team he won the championship with, and he'll be alongside Douglas AG17. Obviously a very quick driver himself, won the Miami Grand Prix in a Red Bull, reserving at the time, and he's going to be put back into it for Season 4. We'll see what he has made of him, and Red Bull definitely have a strong lineup, especially if we get to see what Jackie Gabbana can put, as he was the Tier 2 champion. We'll move quickly then on to Ferrari, another strong lineup of two well-known Ferrari fans. We have Lucas Paul, 73. Last time he was a championship contender in season 1 and 2, he was in a Ferrari, and alongside him is Frank Caruso, obviously raced in Aston Martin last season, got his one podium in Monza, and he's hoping to make a strong pairing with the Argentinian. Then we move on to McLaren. We have again two friends put alongside each other. Two very quick drivers indeed, as long as if both of them can stay consistent. We have Kofi 477 and Owen Curry will both be in the Papaya going into Season 4. We head then to Alpine, the only Renault powered team, and we have the Season 2 champion and the runner-up of Season 3, Randro 17, and he'll be alongside Ajdox 97. That is a very, very strong pairing. Two drivers who have got to know each other very well since Ajdox joined, and they are going to be strong throughout the season. We then move on to AlphaTauri, and we have SLR Quattro and Techno Sizzle are going to be the two drivers in the AlphaTauri. Techno Sizzle obviously wasn't in the league much, wasn't racing in the league much throughout the 3 seasons he's been in CDCR/RSL. SLR Quattro raced in one race and possibly could have won it in Jeddah, and he is going to be very interested in hopefully starting a championship fight going into November the 21st. Into Aston Martin then, we have another possible championship contender in SJR4. We'll see what he can do alongside Turkey Boy 05. Both of them will be representing the British team going into Season 4. We then have a Williams pairing. Again, two very strong drivers. A former Tier 2 driver last year who just couldn't quite find a schedule to race at all on Fridays or Saturdays, but he will race today or on Mondays, and that is XD Harrison, HYT. We'll see what pace he has in the Williams. He'll be alongside Eric Paolo PM, who raced in only one race, the finale in Abu Dhabi, and definitely was quick. He was obviously finished, I'm pretty sure, in 5th, and we'll see if he can keep that up. We move to Alfa Romeo Sauber, and I say Sauber because obviously a Swiss side, and they have two Swiss drivers representing them. Skifan 999, the winner of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, his first win of his whole CTCR/RSL career, and a Patish Hund will be alongside him. Two Swiss drivers in a Swiss team, maybe some Swiss delight going into this season. And we finish with 2 Irish drivers to wrap out the Haas team. We have Jinx 123, and he will be alongside his friend F1 Marley. So that is our Tier 1 teams. Before I answer questions, I'm going to go for my quick predictions. And the winners of the Constructors, I am going to have to be for Alpine. 2 very quick drivers in races. And I think they'll just be on another level of pace. Next, I'm going to go for AlphaTauri. I think they're going to be very strong in both tiers. And even if Techno Sizzle doesn't show up much, SLR Quattro was absolutely rapid he was absolutely rapid in Jeddah last year, and we'll see more of him as the season goes on. Alongside on the podium of Constructors, I'm going to go for another A team. It'll be Alpine, AlphaTauri and Aston Martin. I personally think Turkey Boy, a very consistent driver. He was on the podium, I think, only once actually. I was going to say twice, but I think it's only once he was on the podium in Belgium. And SJR4 is going to go alongside him. Obviously SJR is absolutely rapid. He got so much pole positions last season, and if he manages to just be there for more races this season, I think he could possibly win the title. So that is what I'm going to go for. The Season 4 World Drivers Champion, I'm going to go for SJR4 as my opinion. In second place, I'm going to say he's going to have a battle with AlphaTauri driver SLR Quattro. And finally, then for third, I'm going to go for yet another interesting one. A lot of people may think Randro 17, but I'm going to go for Kofi 477 for third place. I think he is a very quick driver indeed, and along with his teammate Owen Curry, who's also very quick, I think both of them will be able to put a strong partnership together and get Kofi into a championship battle along with SJR and SLR Quattro. So that is the teams for Season 4. Any more questions to put in the YouTube channel chat, I will answer, and we can get going. Yeah, obviously they're talking about the 5 lappers. I'll just set up a little 5-lapper tournament to go on between everyone. They can join, they can leave, they can do whatever they want. It's just pretty much a fun little tournament to have with the group of racers that fancy joining. We'll get the calendar got underway at 5:30 if there's no more questions other than that. I hope everyone is happy with the teams before we then move on to the calendar. Kevin, your teammate at Alpha is Techno Sizzle, so you probably haven't seen him much. He hasn't showed up to much races, but we'll see how much he can show up on the Monday night races. But I think it is half. I think it's time to get underway with the calendar, if I am correct. This is probably going to be the most interesting part of the stream, unless people were looking forward to obviously the teams, but we'll see now. I have the calendar just in front of me here, and it's time to get underway. So our first race of the season, going into the 21st of November, we will be racing in Portimao in the Portugal Algarve International Circuit. It's the first time we'll race here. I personally think that it is obviously a hard track to start with lots of elevation, as Lando Norris called it a roller coaster, in 2020. It's a very difficult track, and that's how the start of the season will be. It will be very difficult indeed, but it is a good track to start because there's a long straight, there's lots of chances for overtaking, and it kind of reminds you of kind of a better Spain, more like, and hopefully it's a good opener for a season for Tier 1 and Tier 2. Next, we head a week later, on the 28th and 30th, we are going to head to Marina Bay in Singapore. The first time coming back here since Season 2, where obviously Randro 17 ran away and won, and from pole position. Obviously it says lap record holder there, Kevin Magnussen, and obviously Kevin got pole position in Brazil, and he... we'll see if anyone can recreate that today when we head to Singapore, and who will get pole position that day. Next, we head to a track on the 5th and 7th of December, a track that we had an amazing race last year on. There was no safety car, and it was probably one of the best finales ever. Yes, we go to Yas Marina, we go to Abu Dhabi for round 3. Obviously it's interesting to have Abu Dhabi very early in the calendar, but the race itself that day was just really, really good, and the track I think is a good pick for racing, especially for how it planned out. A 5.2 kilometer circuit. It would probably one of the easiest that we have on the calendar, but hopefully everyone finds it fairly difficult indeed in order to win it. Next, we have 2 different races for the first time, 2 different tracks for 2 different tiers. For Tier 1, in round 4, we head to Monte Carlo for the Monaco Grand Prix, one of the trickiest tracks ever to be raced at in Formula 1, and still raced at to this day. And that's where the Tier 1 drivers will head. And being realistic, in 2 days after the Grand Prix, the crew will drive up the road to Paul Ricard for the Tier 2 race in France. Obviously, for many reasons, I'm not going to have Tier 2 drivers drive 40 laps around Monaco, or there'll be a safety car every lap. So Tier 2 will be in France, Tier 1 will be in Monaco. And before we head into our 2-week break, we have one more track on the 19th and 21st of December, and that is when we head for the first time to the Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort. Obviously we had a huge amount of Dutch drivers on the grid last season, and I think we only have one SLR Quattro. I don't know if there's any more, but he'll be hoping to win his home Grand Prix in Netherlands, and that will be on the 19th in Tier 1 and the 21st in Tier 2. We take a 2-week break then through the New Year and Christmas time, and then we're gonna go and head again a brand new track to CT or RSL / CTCR. We head to Mexico, to the Mexico City Grand Prix in the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Another easy track, as it says, but Sector 2 can be very difficult. Racing obviously on the 9th in Tier 1 and the 11th on Tier 2. going to be a very tricky track which can bring rain, and obviously, as shown in real life, very difficult tyre temperatures, and it'll be an interesting race indeed. And finally, again, it keeps up its row of consistency on the calendar. Round 7, we head to Silverstone, the only track in CTCR/RSL that's appeared on the calendar every single season. And why shouldn't it? Every single season it's came up with an amazing race. Like season 1, we had Emilio win in a crazy race which almost had Marshy getting his first Tier 1 podium. Almost getting his first podium, sorry about that. In season 2, obviously the finale, which was the 3-way battle at one point, but still continued to the 2-way battle between Randro and Lucas Paul, with obviously the amazing ending of the safety car coming in on the last lap because of the glitch from I think it was Griffin at the time. Season 3 then, there was obviously the switching battle of Syke and Randro all through the race, which again was absolutely crazy, and I can't wait to host it in season 4 for whatever battle brings us there. Again, another track that was on the calendar last year, another great track. Obviously it was a sprint last year and it caused absolute chaos when everyone's game crashed, but we will head back to Imola for round 8. A very difficult track as well through sector 2, as many are. Obviously it was an amazing race throughout the season and it deserves to be on the calendar yet again. Obviously I will point out that there will be no sprint races anymore. The new standing system doesn't allow for sprint results to be put in, so Imola will be the circuit of choice for round 8. We then head to the penultimate round of the season, round 9. We head for the first time in RSL/CTCR, we head to Canada for the Canadian Grand Prix in the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, a fan favourite and a driver favourite in our league. We hope that it's going to be a very interesting place for races throughout the season, with obviously our practice races, and then when it comes to round 9, it should be a very interesting Grand Prix. Those 2 long straights, great chances for overtaking, and just a very smooth and fast flowing track that everyone loves. We then head to the Middle East for the finale, and I think everyone knows what it is already. We're going to head to Saudi Arabia for the final race of the season. Like this season, it was an absolutely amazing race with I think only 1 safety car, but obviously a very hard track, very fast flowing and great chances for overtaking. It's a perfect place to hold the finale of the season. I haven't decided on a track for pre-season testing, but more than likely it's going to be at either Spain or Austria, just like the season before. Some easy track just to see how people ease into it, maybe even possibly Monza as well, I don't know, but obviously a few tracks still yet to feature on the calendar, with the likes of I'm pretty sure everything has featured on the calendar at one stage now with this new calendar. Obviously Bahrain in season 1, Jeddah in season 3 and 4, Australia in 3 and 1, Imola 3 and 4, Miami season 3, Spain is the only track that hasn't featured on the calendar, I think. That's it. So then Monaco this season, Azerbaijan 1 and 3, Canada season 4, Britain all seasons, Austria also hasn't featured on as a track, so that's why I was thinking them two. France season 4, Hungary season 3, Belgium season 3 and 1, Netherlands season 4, Italy season 3 and 1, Singapore season 2 and 4, Japan season 3, USA season 1, Mexico season 4, Brazil season 1 and 3, Abu Dhabi season 3 and 4, Portugal season 4, and China season 2. So we have had every single track other than Spain and Austria feature on the calendar, and that's more than likely a confirmed place for them too on the calendar for season 5. I think we're probably going to go Spain next Saturday for testing, and we hope that is everything. So before I end the stream in possibly 5 minutes time, I will ask you for a opinion on the calendar and any questions before we get underway. So we'll end the stream at 6:15, and then that will be it. I hope everyone has enjoyed, and I hope there are very good opinions on the calendar. Obviously, I see a few people obviously complaining about Monaco. That is very normal. Obviously, I've gone for Portugal round 1, and there's a few people that have a bit of an opinion on Portugal, which is what I'm looking at. Obviously, Portugal, it's kind of like a Spain, but better. It's a very wide track, and it's, unless you really do find it difficult on the throttle, I don't actually see much places where you can spin the car. Now, Marley can say otherwise through turn 4. Sorry if you're watching, Marley. No, I think Portugal's a good track. Lots of chances to overtake, and just generally reminds me of a season opener track. You wouldn't put Portugal towards the end of a calendar. You'd like to have it towards the start, and I've gone for the opener. And I hope that everyone kind of understands my idea around that. If there's any other opinions, just to quickly put in the chat before I end the stream at exactly 6:15. Okay, so with 30 seconds left until we hit 1:45, and nothing appearing in the chat, I'd like to thank everyone for being here and watching the calendar and team's announcement. I hope you all have a great season, and the best of luck to you. Other than that, I've been Gaffo, and that has been the teams and calendars. We'll see you later on.